Despite a number of superficial connections to semi-obscure corners of the canon, the new Sam Raimi-helmed Marvel movie, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, is the biggest breath of fresh air the franchise has received in a while, and provides a compelling blueprint for the sort of pictures Marvel Studios is going to need to turn to in order to keep this cinematic universe vital and lively as it approaches its 15th anniversary. That's the general thesis for this video. I just got back from Mr. Strange 2 and the Movie of Madness, and as you can tell, I really liked it. Oh, vague spoilers ahead, by the way. In this video then, I want to quickly run through a few of the reasons I felt this film worked so well as why I think future Marvel projects need to take a leaf out of this one's book. And then, since this is 2022, we're gonna have to spend a bit of time sifting through the online discourse around the picture, since as usual, there's some really awful takes doing the rounds. But before we get to the tedious stuff, I just want to emphasize that this film was a blast. Multiverse of Madness is a thrilling and delightful watch, a feast for the eyes, ears, and the big wrinkly pink bit in between. The plot's not overly complex, but it doesn't need to be. It's very much a character-driven affair, and a lot of the enjoyment comes from seeing these characters, new and old, reacting to a set of very unfamiliar situations, opponents, and allies. The stars of the show are, obviously, Doctor Strange himself along with Wanda Maximoff, but a whole host of supporting characters like America Chavez, Wong, and Christine Palmer are also integrated well into the proceedings. The beauty of this multiverse gambit, why it works, isn't the new settings or characters it introduces, or the seeds it sows for future projects. Aside from some chatter about incursions, there really isn't too much of this. Instead, it's in how these mirrored worlds and semi-familiar situations allow our characters, particularly Stephen and Wanda, to reflect upon and better understand themselves and their places in the world. Their world, that is. The most obvious time we see this dynamic is in the film's climax, but I think we see it in subtler ways throughout. Interesting as this dynamic is though, it isn't what makes this film great. It merely facilitates that greatness. It's the writing, direction, and performances which make this film the breath of fresh air it is. Of these three aspects, though, I want to talk more about the second, because good lord is this film gorgeous. The CGI looks great, the colours are vibrant, yeah, but it goes so much further than this. I recently made a video praising one particular abstract transition shot in Moon Knight, since moments like that are fairly rare in these films, but Multiverse of Madness is overflowing with them. Interesting transitions, screwy camera angles, richly imaginative shot composition, and a handful of fun zooms here and there to underline certain moments. I'd love to be specific, but I've only seen the film once so far, and there's honestly too many moments like these to remember them all. The whole movie is simply fun to watch on a purely visual level in a way these films don't tend to be. The first Doctor Strange film certainly wasn't boring in this regard, but outside of a few key sequences, it was fairly conventional. This one isn't. It's not a picture in the MCU house style. It's so clearly a Raimi joint, and it's so clearly better for it. The director's fingerprints go beyond the visual. The filmmaker is clearly drawing on inspirations from throughout his career here. There's a sequence near the start which seems taken right from Spider-Man 2, and elsewhere there's an almost campy embrace of superhero aesthetics other MCU films have feared to make. But this is just as clearly a movie made by the guy who did Evil Dead. There's a very strong horror subcurrent running throughout this film, and it really elevates the story. Moments are disgusting or terrifying in ways the franchise hasn't really been before, and this heightening of emotional stakes synchronizes nicely with the idea that universes themselves are in danger here. Hey, editing pillar of garbage here. I'm sorry I blanked. I completely forgot to mention one of my absolute favourite parts of this film, the magic. To me, it never quite sat right that magic in Doctor Strange 1 was essentially just energy shields and energy whips. This sequel course corrects. There's real magic here now, and it's a joy to see how this film integrates it into the story. Even seeing Stephen do something as basic as turning water into wine is great to watch, and moments like these speak to the larger joie de vivre visible in the movie. But I don't want this video to just be a review. That's never been my style on this channel. So here's my take. Every Marvel movie needs to become this type of movie in the next couple of years, if this franchise wants to stay relevant, and perhaps more importantly, to stay good. To be clear, I don't mean that the multiverse is the future. It's a cool narrative conceit, but it's not the reason this film is good. Rather, my point is that even people who have liked this film less than I did have spoken about how this film feels like a Raimi film as much as it does an MCU film. A film stamped so sharply with a director's unique style is rare in this his universe. Even something like Thor Ragnarok, while noticeably a Taika Waititi film, has long stretches of its runtime in which it's almost indistinct from the house style. I don't think you can say the same for Multiverse of Madness. It goes beyond direction too. This film was written by Michael Waldron, and having seen the episodes of Rick and Morty and Loki which Waldron's written on, I think this is clearly a Waldron film too. At this point, there are a lot of these things. Following the formula was fine to begin with, when we didn't really have that many competent superhero movies, but as we near 30 films in the franchise, the danger of creative stagnation rises. Marvel allowed strong creative voices to come to the forefront on Multiverse of Madness, and the result is a somewhat divisive film. But even if you didn't like this film too much, you have to agree that the future of the MCU would look brighter if it followed this mold rather than the template set by, say, Black Widow, which was a fine film, but really wasn't anything new. Clearly I had a great time with Doctor Strange, but even if I didn't, I'd still have appreciated what Raimi and co tried to do to push this genre further. If we imagine the state of this franchise in, say, a decade's time, I think it'll be in a much more exciting spot if the preceding years were filled by films like Multiverse of Madness, films which embrace innovation and try out new ways of telling and representing these stories. And now we've got to spend a few minutes wading through the toxic swamp of MCU discourse. Every time one of these films comes out, or a trailer comes out, or anything happens at all, the internet spews forth bad take after bad take. Given that Multiverse of Madness has been received poorly by a subsection of fans, there's a lot of acrimony around some aspects, some of which I think is unfair, so I'm going to do my best to rush through a few of the big discussions I've seen being had, and bigger spoilers ahead from now. To begin with, there's so much nonsense out there about people disappointed with the film's cameos. Either that there aren't enough, or that the other multiversal characters who show up aren't given enough to do. To start with, if you're upset that there aren't more random character appearances, if you think this film is bad because it didn't meet the expectations you built up yourself for it, I don't know what to say other than you're a very silly man, or woman, or anything else. Look, regardless of your gender identity, you're being a fool. I could write a whole spiel about why judging a film based on your own totally subjective expectations and desires for the film, instead of on, the film itself, is a clown move. But honestly, that'd just wind me up even more. So I'll just say this. Why are you more excited for teasers of future stories than you are for the story actually being told? Next, there's a lot of disagreement over how important the Illuminati ended up being. Some people are annoyed that they weren't in the film for longer, and all got wrecked by Wanda. Some people are pressed that their appearance in this film at all shows that this individual story is getting hijacked in service of future MCU setup. At the risk of sounding like a centrist, the fact that both of these opposing opinions are being shouted from the rooftop suggests to me that the truth is probably somewhere in between, i.e. that it's fine. And I know that's like a fallacy, but here's the thing. Again, both of these complaints are kinda silly. First, we're not seeing these guys again in a film until maybe Secret Wars. The Illuminati aren't setting up anything really. We're clearly not getting Reed Krasinski in the mainline MCU. We're not getting this Black Bolt back. We're not getting Patrick Stewart's Professor X, and so forth. It barely even sets up alternate versions of these characters. No mention is given to mutants, and there's no dialogue establishing the Fantastic Four, or even what the Baxter Foundation is. This isn't set up, it's just an alternate universe showing up because this is a film about our characters going to alternate universes. It's bringing in established comic book characters because that's what these films do. And sure, there's an element of fan service here, casting these with familiar faces and fan casts, but there's always fan service in these films. This doesn't even really go beyond what Spider-Man No Way Home was doing, and the reason they're not given more to do, that they're all dispatched in the second act, is because they're minor characters in a Doctor Strange movie. This isn't an Illuminati film, or an Exiles film. The important part here is how these multiversal figures interact with Strange and Wanda, and further their journeys. That's what they're here for, and that's what they do. Another bad take is the whole Wanda's villainy is anti-feminist thing. The idea is that this film sees a previously heroic character pivot to villainy due to just crazy mommy energy, and that this pushes a previously complex character into the trope of the insanely protective mother, which is A, kinda sexist, and B, reductive and simplistic for a character like Wanda. Now, if you've seen the new film with only a passing familiarity with Wanda's past in the MCU, I can kind of see how you'd reach a conclusion like this. But please, go back and watch these films. because this is a highly misguided take. I'm going to quickly summarize some of Wanda's character beats from each appearance to demonstrate why. We first meet Wanda in Age of Ultron, opposing the Avengers. This antagonism is born because she believes Tony Stark is responsible for killing her parents, for shattering her family. That event, that shattering of her world, is the first formative moment for this version of Wanda Maximoff. It rocked her world, and thereafter she clung closer to her brother Pietro, the only remnant of those halcyon days when she had a family. In this film, she loses Pietro, and the only reason this doesn't utterly break her is that Pietro died fighting with the Avengers, a group they decided to join for the good of the world. So while Wanda lost the last member of her original family, the silver lining is that she may have found a new family in the Avengers. A new family she and Pietro chose together. Fast forward to Civil War. In this film, Wanda realizes that this group isn't a true family, or at least her true family. Fake dad Tony has her locked up, and the rest of the group tear themselves apart. Wanda's small mercy here is that she escapes with the secret Avengers, still perhaps a surrogate family of sorts, while also kindling the spark of a truer bond with Vision, which only grows thereafter. Skip to Infinity War, and Vision, now revealed as the true family member Wanda's been searching for since Pietro and her parents died, asks her to abandon the Avengers just to stay with him, to choose this new family above the world and above heroism. But Wanda's altruism doesn't let her make this choice, not yet, and to oversimplify Infinity War and Endgame, this choice kinda leads to her having to kill her own husband for the sake of the universe. Essentially the same basic choice she made in Edinburgh, but scaled up 1,000-fold. Here's the kicker. While almost everyone else gets their dead people back, she doesn't. She's paid the ultimate price, and lost her only true new family as a result. WandaVision essentially plays that choice out again, but in an even crueler way. She's gifted the perfect life with her family, the desire that's been driving her all along now fully realized, and again she has to sacrifice it all for the benefit of others. Other families who get to stay together. People have tried to reinterpret WandaVision as a villain origin story, but it isn't. Wanda ultimately makes the right choice to throw away her heart's desire when it becomes clear to her that she's hurting people. The constant through all of this, through every situation Wanda's been in, and behind every choice she's made, is her desire for a family. To rebuild that which was blown away from her as a Sokovian child. After Wanda finally seemed to achieve this goal in WandaVision, only to have it snatched away once more, her goal in this film is not out of character. Her desire to find her lost family, which does sort of exist, is the natural extension of everything we've seen up until now. Her methods for this, her willingness to kill and destroy in service of this aim, that is new. That's not the Wanda we know. But her motivation isn't new. It's the extension of the character these films have built for her. Personally, I think it's more anti-feminist to ignore these characterizations and stories we've seen in Wanda's past, which demonstrate the centrality of family to her life, than it is to base her motivations in this film around motherhood. The other thing relating to this I've seen mentioned a bunch is that Wanda's heel turn is jarring and abrupt, and that it's sort of a slap in the face to her character. This complaint has a lot more merit than the ones we've been talking about, but I don't think it's entirely justified. The reason for this is the Darkhold, which is established to corrupt its users. Everyone who goes to the Darkhold for power is swayed by its evil. That's like a general rule. Maybe it's a valid criticism of this film that this point isn't set up early enough or hammered home clearly enough. Wanda's villainy in this film is due to the Darkhold more than it is due to her past and her story. And you could call this narratively cheap, but I think if the narrative had been clearer about this from the start, it would have been a more satisfying beat. A way to do this would have been to open the film with Strange dreaming through the perspective of multiverse Darkhold Strange, establishing the corrupting power of the Darkhold before we even learn about Wanda's turn. This, of course, didn't happen. We learn the truth later on, but in a film as busy as this one, it's understandable that not everyone got this. Got that WandaVision isn't a villain origin story, but a story showing a hero breaking after a final heroic move, tempted to turn to risky measures to regain her greatest desire. It's hubris. The Wanda of WandaVision would never have opened the Darkhold if she knew it would make her into the beast we see in Multiverse of Madness. This character progression then is perhaps contrived, and could perhaps have been better signposted, but in some ways it's worth it, because we finally get a vision of the Scarlet Witch living up to that character's potential, albeit in an evil way. We finally get an opportunity for Elizabeth Olsen to act her heart out on the big screen, no longer relegated to the supporting roles she'd held previously. If villainy is the price we had to pay for this, I'm willing to pay it. And I say this as someone who's considered Wanda one of my favourite MCU heroes since she first appeared. In a way, this comes back to what I was talking about earlier, the fact that this film takes risks, makes big swings, goes to new places. Maybe not every big swing is going to please everyone, but we need these films to keep upsetting the status quo, to keep evolving in unexpected ways. Multiverse of Madness does this. The good thing is, I don't think this is an isolated incident. I think we saw a lot of these patterns in Eternals, another film which let its director inject their own style, and take the reins to a degree. It just wasn't as obvious there, since Chloe Zhao's visual style is less in-your-face than Raimi's. If you're interested in how that film innovated beyond the visual, I've got a few videos on that, which should be linked on screen now. But going back to Doctor Strange, I loved it, and I really hope Marvel takes the approach of this film as the blueprint for the next decade. Even if the reception's been a little more mixed than they're used to, it'll certainly pay off in the long run. And I think the franchise needs to take this chance, needs to have faith in the face of uncertainty, needs to go on red. Please do let me know what you guys think about all this below, and thanks as always to my patrons on screen now, especially Kevin Douglas and Ian Fifield.